But to move forward, you know, you've been at the very top of your game, you know, previously for a long stretch, right? The Marvel run is just absolutely legendary, and is something that Marvel run that you had is something that will never ever be forgotten. You know, it doesn't matter what games come out or what games are popular in the future. That is just etched in the history of the fighting game community, right?
One more hit away. All of these soldiers that he's blocking is not letting him regain a lot of health back. You do not regain the health when you're blocking.
Oh! And Chris G is your new Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 champion. This has to be poetic for him. Waited all this time. And live here at the Mandalay Bay Evo 2016, Chris G finally gets the championship that he deserves.
And in first place, the new Evo World Champion, NY Chris G!
So in terms of your practice and discipline, what would you say changes when you're already at the top, you know, and you're consistently winning? How do you, you know, what do you do there in terms of how you structure yourself for performance?
So if you look behind me, right, I have a bunch of trophies.
There's a lot of stuff going on behind you.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of stuff, right? But I have 2 display cases of trophies, right? And there was a point where I thought that once I won everything, that it would be enough. But from when I started, right, we're talking about from my first Third Strike trophy, which actually isn't mine. It's actually Justin Wong's. That trophy, right, actually, yeah, it is that one right there. That's not mine. I got second in that tournament, right, in Third Strike, and Justin gave me his trophy.
Wow.
And I don't know, but for some reason, it's almost as if I felt like it was my own. But I think it more so was the feeling that I wanted more. I wanted more and more and more. When Marvel 3 came out and I was winning, for some reason, it was never enough. And we're talking about from the smallest thing to the biggest thing, right? So I feel like a big part of it was just, you know, like the sin, greed. If I could stop somebody else from winning something, I would do that. You know, and again, it like for Marvel specifically, it was decently easy to do that. You know, especially once I found Morgan, right? And I could go anywhere, no matter how small, and I could just keep winning. Like sitting at home and training wasn't something I did much. Every day for about 3-4 times a week, there was another tournament. So, you know, it's kind of like now where you're doing 3-4 times a week playing online, which is something I can't do. I was in, you know, New Jersey on Tuesday, right, for 8 on the break. Wednesday was Big 2 or Battle Circuit, however you want to call it, right, in Brooklyn. Friday was local battles in Jersey again, you know, and then the monthlies like Philly, Connecticut, all that stuff, right, would be on the weekend. And I was there almost every single one of those tournaments. And it never stopped, right? So it's definitely was like a borderline obsession where I just wanted to just keep winning and winning and winning, and it just never was enough. Even now, like the last tournament that I went to, where I won a whole bunch of games, I brought back a whole bunch more trophies, and I'm ready to go to the next one. It doesn't end. That drive hasn't stopped. So like Marvel was just like, it was just the beginning of that whole like era in a sense, where I'm like, okay, I gotta go to the next one. I gotta win the next thing. The feeling, nothing beats that feeling.
Does it ever stop, Valle?
Oh wait, can you hear?
I can't hear you, Valle.
Sorry. Oh, there we go. Sorry
All
about
good,
that.
all good.
Yeah,
The
I was,
question is though, does it ever stop?
okay. I was gonna say I have a little funny story about this.
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
So the 1998 Street Fighter Alpha 3 World Championships, right? So it was, you guys already know, it was like the first international US versus Japan match, and I've already won so many tournaments already, and I'm getting up to the age of like early 20s now, and I thought, okay, if I win this one, I think it's time to hang it up because
Oh, for real?
first two other things and just because I'm and when you're in early 20s with like an immigrant family and we're kind of poor still, so I had to plan all these like ultimatums started come flying in. That's a whole other story, right? I've reached the extreme of what I could possibly do in that era because we weren't winning $100,000 of prize pools. We were talking about arcade tournaments where you win like $67 to $80 to $200 or something here and there. But anyways, so I'm like, okay, the match happens and I didn't win, and I was really pissed off. So that really was like, man, and I almost beat him, right? But I'm like, nah. I was like, nah, dude, I'm gonna get him in the next tournament. This is crazy. All it takes is just one pivotal loss, just one. So it can just, something clicks in your head and you're like, nah, it's not enough for me. So yeah, and anybody that aspires to be good at anything, you have to lose. You have to lose. You have to experience true loss, not just you didn't understand the game or I'm new. No, it's when you're already seasoned, you're already in there, and you're doing well. Is when you experience a pivotal loss. Is when the real decision happens. All right, are you going to really hang it up, or are you going to try to get that win back? So it's kind of obsessive. It's kind of addictive, and it's like when you're at that level, it's only when you're at that level. So I would say it probably doesn't stop until you've had enough.
I think you need that
you
push.
Gotta take enough. You have to take enough losses to understand that.
I think you need that push as well because, like, you can go through a period of something without any real challenge and not really know what you want because you're not really being made to make any decisions. Like you mentioned, family ultimatums. That stuff is real. Like, if you don't win this tournament, like there's a consequence there, and there are some real life-altering decisions you have to make. And you mentioned family, so those decisions don't only impact your life, but the lives of others around you, close people you love and care about. So you're at the tournament just thinking, man, am I even doing the right thing here? Should I even be here right now? There's so many tournaments where it's like, I'm there feeling guilty. Like I'm there doing what I love, but I feel bad about doing what I love. And that's never a good space to be in, where you should be enjoying something, but you're not enjoying it. Or you're somewhere else wishing you were at the tournament. Like neither option is good, right? So yeah, finding that balance is always tricky, especially in a time where nobody really understood what this was. That this wasn't just me messing about. This is like something that is serious, and we've practiced for this, and and this is a known person. It's not a random opponent. This is a guy I've been training for specifically. Like I know his name. Like we have a background together. So navigating all of that in your social life, or Chris mentioned the family situation not always being that easy to go through. Like these are real problems that we never really get anywhere to unravel. As a teenager or someone in their 20s, who do you go to talk to when you have problems here? Because that was a big deal. Like, I don't even know how I get around this. There's no one who I can trust enough with this information to talk about it that can help me, because no one understands my family life. And even if they did, they don't understand the gaming side either. So either way, I'm kind of stuck in this weird black hole, And so, yeah, that was always an issue. But I don't know, I guess with corporate investment and sponsorship and all this stuff and the Benjamins, right? It's always got to be about the money. Once that gets introduced, and people are a bit more lenient. I've had interviews with parents that have kids that play Fortnite, And I've talked to them about what they feel with the time consumption, and they're like, well, he's bringing home $15 million. I can live with it. You know, it's like, but he's not doing his, but he's not taking exams at school. Is that cool? You know, but no, I've always said education should, to some degree, be at the forefront of priorities on the list, right? It shouldn't be gaming first, especially if they're really young, like, 15-year-olds, like, shouldn't be just playing games in the basement, right? So, but yeah, I guess that's another question. I mean, what is the time frame? What's the age range for a professional fighting game player, in your opinion? Like, b-boying is an interesting one, because I spent 12 years as a b-boy. And it has really varied age ranges over the decades, right? Back in the 80s, the retirement age for a b-boy was around 16 to 18 years of age. Very, very young, And then, I mean, of course, there are always exceptions depending on, the country and state in America and so on. But today we've seen people, hitting the floor at Red Bull events and so on in their 20s, 30s, and even 40s, And it's just showed you how over the generations that, the longevity that professionals have has increased, right? Or that it's also just become a more understood and accepted part of what you do in society, which wasn't the case back in the day. You're still breaking in your 20s, get a life, like you were really like downtrodden for doing your passion, right? How do you feel about fighting games today? What's the optimal age range for a professional player?